Hello everybody, this is Dr. Willow Ariella, and this video or mini lecture is over chapter 2 of your textbook on theories of human development. I wanted to discuss a little bit about what theories are, how they are developed, why they are important, and some more details than what your chapter goes into about theories. Theories are typically developed by research and data. So what happens is that a scientist, like a psychologist or a developmentalist, comes up with a question such as, is nature or genes or genetics more important than the environment on human development? And so they may come up with a question, a scientific question, and a study using one of the scientific methods that you'll read about in chapter 1 to test their research question. And they usually create a hypothesis as well that they are trying to prove or disprove. So a lot of people define hypothesis as an educated guess, but it's really much more than that. A hypothesis is a research term that is based on a lot of education and much more than guessing. So a researcher or a scientist or someone who is researching human development has done a lot of reading scientific literature and research studies that are in the field or fields that they're interested in. So they read studies, they read other people's hypotheses and their data and their research results, and by doing all this reading, that's called a literature review, they develop a very educated presumption or test for a research question, and that is how hypotheses are generated. So they're really much more than guesses, even though some people define hypothesis as an educated guess. So because of the amount of literature that scientists, including developmentalists, review, they have a pretty good idea of what kinds of studies have already been performed and what their results have been, so they have a much better idea of hypotheses to test, and those are used to generate additional hypotheses. So after reading through a lot of the studies and conducting their own research and coming up with their own data, then scientists continue that process, and by reading other scientific studies as well as reviewing other research and other peer-reviewed literature on the subject, the area that they are interested in exploring in their research, scientists then create a theory, which is looking at studies, looking at the data, looking at the results, and then coming up with a general application to help understand, in this case, human development, human behavior, psychology. So for example, one of the theories or theoreticians that's discussed in your chapter is Freud. And Freud, although his scientific methods were not very scientific, and some of his theories are not easily tested, and so that's why there are critiques of his research. He did certainly talk to a lot of humans and come up with a lot of his information that helped formulate his psychoanalytic perspective. And so he did quite a few case studies, which is one research method, and then other theoreticians such as Erickson also did case studies, as well as used other scientific methodology that you'll read about in chapter 1 to explore human behavior. And then certainly learning theories are very scientific in nature. They're based on looking at a lot of human behavior and noting the reactions that humans have, and so they are well grounded in science and scientific methods. One of the so theories are basically designed to help us understand in the psychological world human behavior. In other sciences such as physics or sociology or chemistry, theories are designed to help understand the concepts that are studied in those fields. So contrary to what most people believe, the social sciences such as psychology are definitely scientific, and they are definitely science. So the scientific methods, the same scientific methods are used in all fields to conduct research. So in the chapter on theories, there's a discussion on nature and nurture. And this is an interesting discussion because people used to think there was a lot of division among developmentalists and psychologists that it had to be either nature or nurture that explained human development and human behavior. But in fact, now that debate has pretty much died down, and most people agree that it requires both nature and nurture, both genes and heredity, as well as the environment, how people grow up and who they grow up with, that determines one's psychology and one's behavior. So both of those are very important, and both contribute to how humans behave. And then there's a discussion in your chapter on Piaget and his cognitive development theory. Cognitive or cognition just means thoughts, the study of thinking or thoughts. And one of Piaget's perspectives is called constructivism. This concept, constructivism, is also sometimes called constructionism. Some people think that constructivism and constructionism are the same, while some people think that there are some subtle differences. However, constructivism or constructionism both are founded on the idea or the research that humans construct, they build their world with their interaction of nature and nurture. And so as you read about human behavior and human development, you can be thinking about this concept. Did I construct my world? And if I did, how did I do that? And Piaget suggests that through his research on the various stages that children and adults go through in their development, that by the interactions that we have with our environment, that we are constructing, figuring out, in other words, how the world works and how we think about the world. And then you'll read some strengths and weaknesses of some of these theories, and those are important to have some good grasp of. It's important to be able to understand a theory, and it's also important to be able to critique it, because there are always strengths and weaknesses in any theoretical perspective. And then the other major theory that's explored in your textbook is systems theories. Systems theories are a way to incorporate larger components of the world in how humans develop and behave. And the chapter on theories of human development only covers some of the major theories that are used to explain human development and human psychology. If you continue on in your education in psychology or other social sciences, you'll learn about some additional theories that have been developed. But in this overview of human development, we primarily touch on the major theories that are used. So hopefully you found this brief overview of theories of human development to be